journey, but a short book. And you talk too much, Mr. Computer. Turn you off. There you go. So we're halfway through, and remember from Sunday school, the three wise men set out a couple of weeks ago. Goodness knows where they are now, but where are we now? That's the thing. We're into the third week. Is it getting easier? Or are we getting more and more things to do, more people to see, and especially if you're Sagittarian, my birth date is almost at Christmas time, and so I have a very busy couple of weeks. And I'm delighted about it because as I'm getting older, I value the fact that someone wants to come and have lunch with me for my birthday, whereas when I was younger, I just thought, oh, will I have time for this? Will I have time for that? And being a musician, at that particular time, especially in my younger years, you're out of sync with normal people because you're playing at night and sometimes you're doing other things. You might have a luncheon you're playing at during the day or something happens. And so therefore, by the time everyone else around you is happy, you're thinking, oh, I think I need a glass of wine. Not that that always does the trick these days because I think everything in moderation. And as I look around, I see some things that I see in the past that have always been there, and I've never really noticed it until in my middle 70s. And I think it says in the book Ecclesiastes, everything's already been there. It's just that we evolve and we think, oh, yes, it's at a different level. And I look at that with my body and my life here. We don't know how long we've got. We could go tomorrow. We could go 10 weeks. We've got dear Reverend Sylvia, who's not with us on the Zoom today, is 99. She'll be 100 in May. But while we're here, there's still something for us to do. So, as Ernest Holmes wrote, we don't come to Earth fully orbed. We are a work in progress. And at the right time, we seek to make contact with that light within, as symbolised by this Advent journey. I love the story of the three wise men because it stuck with me from the age of 4 at Sunday school. We had our own little Methodist sort of Sunday school, and we had a sand pit. And I was conscious of it, I'm sure, and I had the third wise man. I think it was Caspar, Melchior and Balthasar. That was me. And I was upset because my camel got beaten to the manger. So anyway, but I always remember it. It was so symbolic and the teacher was wonderful. She took her time to explain and we sang hymns like Hark the Herald Angels Sing. But the accompaniment was one of those old pedal organs, harmoniums, which I love. That love of that has stayed with me forever. And as some of you know, I've got just about every hymn book under the sun. And what I've noticed with them, though, is that over the last 100 years, the keys have come down. Whereas we'd sing in high key, like in E major, for those of you who know it, now most of the keys are around C, B flat. And also the hymn books now have chord symbols in it, so that people that learn guitar don't feel left out, and there's the chord symbol for them as well. So when we are ready, we'll get to that point in time where we make contact. It may not be on December the 25th, because it is in our conscious, not in time. And it's in our mind, not in the place we're at, that perfection is realised. Some people say, oh look, we're perfect. And I say, well, we were born perfect, but we're a work in progress. As you know, over the year, we've been doing the 12 powers. Some say it's a bit monotonous, but I don't care because you learn something different every time you do it. And those 12 powers work together. And they help us eventually, each year we do them, to get to a deeper understanding. Now, we may study with human teachers, seminars, and goodness knows there's so many things on YouTube now that 10 years ago was amazing, but I look back to see groups like Unity and other New Thought groups, especially in Melbourne, a lot of the stuff now is becoming mainstream. You look at the Sunday paper and there's some model or some footballer looking so fit, and he's saying, oh, look, I always do mindfulness every day. I do my mindfulness, I meditate. And I think, well, that's amazing. But look at the plodding work that went on over the years to get to this place. This had to happen before that happened. But there comes a time when we have to do it for ourselves. And here we have the power of will. Will is essential on all levels of our being, body, mind, and soul. There was a thing in the paper yesterday, how they claim Donald Trump was influenced by the New Thought movement. Oh, hello, good, okay. And his parents brought him up, were students or went to see Norman Vincent Peale. And what's that book? His famous book? Power of Positive Thinking, yes. But they probably didn't emphasise. I had my nephew come out from Cape Town when he was 30, and I happened to be there for his birthday. We went down to Geppetto's, and he said to me, what's this priestcraft stuff you're in? I said, where did you get that from, your mother? He said, no, I just was wondering what you're up about, because I brought him up here to see this place. And I said, this and that. He said, oh, it's just positive thinking. So I said, well, yes and no. Because if you don't get the balance, you can be positive about something that's really upsetting to you. Eventually it catches up with us eventually. Like that song, Desperado by the Eagles. And to hear Linda Ronstadt sing it, it's like the divine feminine giving you a warning. These things that are pleasing you are hurting somehow. So we have to have balance, and that's where it's important for people that get into this stuff, realise there is a universal spiritual law. We cannot escape it. We think we can, but you look at some of the famous people I've noticed, millionaires, billionaires, they get to a certain point in life and that's it. And someone was telling us about Steve Jobs, I forget who that was the other day, that he got to the end of his life and he realised that he could have taken another direction and balanced things out a bit more. Does our personal will express in alignment with universal spiritual law? We are an individual expression of the divine, a spiritual being in evolution, not perfected yet, but perfect in our enfoldment. Unity Minister Thomas Shepherd describes unity as being culturally Christian, yet spiritually eclectic. So the New Thought founders, the early ones, were into everything. From over 100 years ago, they were there into all sorts of things that all met in America at this particular time. And those who have studied other religions learn that 500 years before the birth of Jesus, Gautama Buddha in India and Confucius and Lao-Tzu in China were already teaching the same universal truth principles. And the Bhagavad Gita goes back for millennia before that. So that's what I mean about culturally eclectic, spiritually eclectic. The universal law gets dressed up in the culture of the time, as we can see from Hinduism, Islam, and the Zoroastrians and all those people. They have their own way of interpreting this, and there's always a mystical group behind them, like the Sufis in Islam. That work is wonderful. You all know Rumi and those wonderful poems. Aren't they wonderful? You can open the book up anywhere and just feel good. So, I better move on actually. So we've begun our Advent journey. And we in Unity We accept the Christian teachings, but we know that Jesus is our way shower, and we don't worship Jesus, we worship his teachings because they're the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He taught that the same light in him was the same light in every human being, in me and in you. He wanted us to know this. So, on our Advent journey this year, it's a time of giving and receiving. It's also a joy to come in here and see people after the last 5 years. We've got a wonderful building here. It's really unique. And we are actually on the threshold of a new awareness, and we're all waiting for Spirit to see where it's all going to go. So at this time of giving and receiving, a tremendous gift awaits us all, if we accept the full implication of our own indwelling divinity and the joyful realisation that Christmas is all about the conscious awareness of the birth of Christ in us. This is all symbolic, what we're going through, this Advent journey, but at least over the years it has sown good seeds and fallen on good earth, because it deepens every year we do it. And here we are now in this wonderful building to be able to celebrate it. The conscious awareness of the birth of Christ in us. And it wouldn't be a Christmas talk if I didn't finish with this poet, Angelus Silesius. Have I got that right, Rad? Silesius, thank you. Though Christ be born 1,000 times in Bethlehem, if he is not born in thee, thy soul is all forlorn. So be it. Thank you.